Greetings. I'm Dr. Cynthia Pancer. I'm coming to you from California in the United States, in San Diego, California. I am a professor of education at Alliant International University. I've spent my whole career starting schools, building products for children and students, and training teachers. So I care very much about education and the well being of children when they're at school. I am also a survivor of suicide loss. And what that means is I lost my sister to suicide 11 years ago. And since that time, I've learned a lot about mental health issues and a lot about suicide prevention and ways to really support our students. Now, I combine my interest in education with mental health issues, and I'm not alone because the state of California recently, 2 years ago, passed a law requiring that every school have a suicide prevention policy. It's called Assembly Bill 2246, the Suicide Prevention in California Schools Law. Now, schools make a lot of sense when it comes to suicide prevention. Teachers are powerful, caring adults and confidants in the life of a student. And students spend more time at school than even at home. Teachers also see students with their peers, and so they can have a feel for when students are feeling especially fragile or vulnerable. And we know that that can happen when students lose a classmate to suicide, youth bereaved by suicide. Also, our students that have a mental illness like depression or a substance use disorder are more susceptible to suicide. Students who are homeless or in foster care, and then our queer students, the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, or questioning youth, can also be especially vulnerable to suicidal ideation. That means thinking about suicide or ways that it could even be accomplished, even if a student doesn't attempt. So that term suicidal ideation just refers to thoughts of suicide, thoughts of ending your life. Now, because there is a law that requires the schools have a policy for suicide prevention, and because I'm very interested in schools and how they make programs available to students online, I've put together this presentation to show you a wide variety of resources that are available to educators all over the world that are concerned about the mental health of adolescents, especially when they're at school. So I've organized this presentation into the lens that you may look through when you're trying to find a product that will help support these conversations. Now, one strategy is to train the teachers and just talk to the teachers, give them the resources, let them study by themselves in small groups or across a whole campus. All the colleagues get together, the teachers, and talk about how to talk about suicide prevention with the students. And that can be very helpful because the problem with education about mental health is that there's a stigma. It is taboo in our culture in some places to even talk about suicide prevention. And so it helps to have these conversations and structures where we can learn the words and practice gaining comfort with them. Now, another category of products is the teacher led programs for students, where teachers learn how to actually work with students in their classes. And then in another switch, students can work with students, and there are products and programs that very much support the adolescents in talking to each other and referring each other for support or just getting to the bottom of it and really being a good friend to each other. And the fourth category I'd like to show you some products is student self-help. With the use of smartphones, we know that our students love those smartphones and they love to use apps. And there are a lot of apps available where you can get support for mental health issues or teach yourself and get some support immediately through your phone. So we'll talk about a couple of those too. Now, train the teacher is the most common format where we fulfill the responsibility for having a policy and some time given to the teachers to learn about suicide prevention. Now, this um, handbook is available for free. I have references for you at the end of this presentation. This is from the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration. This handbook is very helpful. You can download it for free from their website. And it has screening tools. It talks to teachers about what to look for. And it also helps um, teachers know how to deal with a, a tragic death. What if a student does die of suicide on your campus, or one of the students that are enrolled at your school? How do you talk to the other students and their families? What process can really help people have a context around that death and feel the support of each other through that very difficult time? So this handbook, I would highly recommend you give that a look. Another way to train teachers to talk to their students is a product called Cognito. And Cognito is an animation where you can play the role of teacher, role of students, and actually practice the vocabulary. This is a little snip of what it looks like.
Today's school leaders increasingly recognize the connection between student mental health and academic performance, attendance, and safety. The challenge is how to engage educators as effective eyes and ears of student mental health. Cognito's At Risk for PK-12 Educators is a suite of online evidence-based professional development programs. These unique interactive role-play simulations build the skills and self-confidence of school personnel to recognize students in distress.
Now, my university finds the Cognito suite of products very helpful. We've even incorporated them into our program for the teachers that we're preparing. Now, the teachers are trained to lead the program for students is another category. And the two big products that are available under this heading is where all the teachers on a campus make a commitment to having workshops and role playing and leading discussions for their students. The two major products are called the Trevor Project and the Jason Foundation. And they have national, in the United States, influential organizations, and they also have strong political advocacy. So they are lobbying with legislators, getting funding, and making sure that these suicide prevention programs are incorporated into the planning for all the local schools. Now, the Trevor Project is a very helpful one, and it's very extensive. There's workshops for the teachers, workshops for the students, workshops for the parents, workshops for the staff at the school site. There's students just learning how to, a little checklist to go down to doing a assessment or evaluating each other, lots of writing lessons to support the program. The other giant national program is called the Jason Foundation. And again, the Jason Foundation has trainers that will come work with your site and help get the workshops started at your school and conduct workshops and help everybody get comfortable with having these conversations that can be so impactful on helping our students rise to the surface from depression or any vulnerability they might have around their mental health. Now, the third category is very intriguing because students talk to students can be some of the best support that's available. Students are sensitive to each other and they will confide things in each other that they have not yet confided to their parents or to other adults at the school, especially trusted teens who have been trained. So here we have organizations coming in and training the students to be peer counselors and a little sensitive. and learning how to talk to their fellow students and just express concern. Hey, I'm concerned about that way of thinking. Tell me about what's on your mind these days. You're worrying me, buddy. What's on your mind? That kind of discussions can be very helpful. Now, this program called Directing Change is one of my favorites. Directing Change is a whole website of resources where the students design a 2-minute video during the school day. They're in a class where they're learning how to make videos or using technology, and they make a 2-minute video on mental health and suicide prevention. And then they submit their videos for a contest. They can win a little bit of money, they can be famous, and they can do beautiful work that's shared on the internet. Here's an example.
In life, lots of people will face a lot of challenges, some physical and some mental. And you see the people who overcome the physical challenges much stronger than before. So why shouldn't you do the same for those mental challenges? Your mind is still a part of your body, no matter how you think of it. Express yourself. There's help everywhere, from teachers, friends, to your own family. People want to see you prosper and be happy. There's no need to pretend. Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "We must accept finite disappointment, but never lose infinite hope." Get the help your friends and family want you to get. Each and every mind matters, even yours. Don't overlook the mental challenges. If you or someone you know is struggling, please visit eachmindmatters.org.
So that's a very well planned and scripted program that can make a lot of difference in our schools with helping students help each other. Here's another example of students helping each other. Hope squads are student counselors that are trained. They can reduce youth suicide through education, training, and peer intervention again. So their classmates nominate them to start with, and then they're given training so that they can then be a support back to their classmates.
In high schools across the country, a crisis. Who here knows somebody personally who's contemplated suicide? Wow. Every single one of you. Suicide, now the second leading cause of death between the ages of 10 and 18. For Utah Principal Dr. Greg Hudnall, it's more than statistics after he was called to identify the body of one of his 14-year-old students.
I literally threw up and sobbed. I made a vow that I would do everything that I could to help prevent suicide.
He founded Hope Squad, a way to help kids change how they talk about mental illness.
Those young people feel like they're the only one, that they're embarrassed, they're struggling.
The program gives students the tools to recognize those in need and get them help.
I don't think that most people understand that people do say that they're going to commit suicide most of the time before they do.
There are now more than 500 squads across 18 states and Canada. Another 100 will begin next year.
We're having this connection now, we're having this relationship now, and I care about you.
Students are chosen by their peers and specially trained, meeting regularly. This is Hope Squad's first year in Mason, Ohio, and the first year without a suicide since Abby Gadio started at the school 4 years ago.
Do you think Hope Squad has saved lives this year? For sure. I think that because of Hope Squad,
Another program called Sources of Strength. And this one again is the peer social networks. Is what we've found to be so helpful is the students will listen to each other when the rest of us are just talking over their heads, and they can help alleviate bullying, preventing suicide, substance abuse. The students can get some training on how to really help each other.
National trainer and instructional coach with Sources of Strength. Even though my day job involves public speaking and most months I am facilitating conversations among hundreds of humans, I have to admit that I'm feeling a little bit nervous right now. It could be because feel really weird right now, don't they? It's also weird to be talking to you from my little nest here in Denver, Colorado. Most of the time for work, Janelle's headed east, Janelle's headed west, but since schools are closed, my day-to-day life is looking really different, and I imagine that yours is too. However, the work of Sources of Strength hasn't actually changed. We work in prevention with a public health approach, so that means we have a long history of not just talking about the things that hurt, but we have a really beautiful habit of talking about the things that help. And I have spent the last handful of years working with Sources of Strength, joining an organizational practice for over 20 years of talking and leading in our field, but not just of talking, also listening.
So Janelle is certainly very engaging, isn't she? And she brings up the other subject, which is the international pandemic. Many schools are closed. Most schools are closed here in the United States right now, and in across the world, wherever it's necessary to contain the pandemic. And that is a source of stress to our students. And it's good to know about these programs that can reach them through their phones, through their computers, through Zoom, and help them connect to support with each other and their teachers. Now, student self-help via texting can be very private and very effective. There's no teacher, no school involved. The help is gonna come to you across your app on your phone. You can have an emergency connection with someone who can help. And it's because it's private, this is very much preferred by teens. And then there's also help that comes as in form of counseling, where on your phone by yourself, without other people being involved or intervening or going to therapy, you can go through some very short classes that teach you how to work with your own mind and how to reduce stress and how to look at painful thoughts and perhaps alleviate them, question them. This is one of the products that does that. It's an app called Woebot. And let me give you just a feel for what that looks like.
Need to get something off your chest? Meet Woebot, the friendly little bot who's ready to listen 24/7. Woebot's been trained in cognitive behavior therapy, an approach to mental health that is all about identifying distortions in your thinking. Woebot doesn't do therapy, but he can be your guide to help you figure out things on your own. Oh, and he's effective. Some nice people at Stanford University demonstrated that chatting to Woebot for 2 weeks led to significant improvement in mood. Every day he asks how your day is going, how you're feeling, and what you're up to. He builds an emotional model of you over time and can help you see patterns in your mood. As he learns about you, he'll teach you things, like useful strategies and practical tools that have been shown to work. You're not troubling him at all. Honestly, he has nothing else to do. So let Woebot annoy his way into your heart and start feeling better today.
Woebot is an app, and so there is a price involved. A little subscription that you can choose for a year or for a program. Now, here's another app, the My3 app, which is coping strategies that students can put into their phones that they can then activate when they need some support and someone to be reminded of their own family and people in their life that love them and things that they can do to support themselves when they're feeling very negative or suicidal. So that's an overview of some of the things that are out there that are designed to help you. Often, I mean, most of them are free. Some of them are a service that comes to your school. Some of them are a service that you would subscribe to online. All very affordable, though. These people are very wanting to get the word out, wanting to connect with students in schools, wanting to provide them with the mental health support they need, and definitely wanting to prohibit and prevent suicide among our so valuable and fragile adolescents. So here's the resources, some of the resources that are available, which I've put into categories, and then the other resources that are available via apps. Thank you.